Welcome back to another episode of Utility Room Legends, where we explore everything that moves and controls water and honor the people who keep those systems running with integrity, skill, and passion. Thank you to everyone who's listened, subscribed, and helped spread the word about the show, whether it's sharing with a colleague or just tuning in regularly. This episode marks our 10th, and as we wrap up our first year of Utility Room Legends, we'll be taking a short break over the holiday season. We'll be back in January 2026 with even more conversations, more insight, and more incredible guests from every corner of the water infrastructure world. In the meantime, you can catch up on all previous episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and at utilityroomlegends.com, where you can also get in touch if you'd like to be a future guest. If you've been in this business long enough, you learn there are two kinds of people: those who manage the system and those who invest in building better systems and better people. Today's guest, Josh Baile, is firmly in the second category. With a career that spans over 33 years, Josh has served in nearly every role across water and wastewater operations, from utility operator and lead treatment operator to supervisor, consultant, instructor, and eventually rising to director of operations and now senior business operations and delivery consultant with a major engineering firm here in the Denver area. In this episode, we explore how Josh's early years working at utilities in Northglenn, Aurora, Denver, and Thornton shaped his understanding of treatment operations, his approach to leadership and mentorship, especially in managing high-performing public utility teams, also his philosophy on capital planning, strategic operations, and building sustainable infrastructure that serves both people and the environment, and his dedication to education, including his time as adjunct instructor at Red Rocks Community College, helping shape the next generation of water professionals. We also talk about his time leading at Dominion Water and Sanitation District, his volunteer work with the Rocky Mountain section of AWWA, and what it means to transition from boots-on-the-ground operations to high-level strategic consulting without losing sight of where you came from. Josh's story isn't just about longevity. It's about adaptability, humility, and impact. His career shows us that technical excellence and community service go hand in hand, and that legends are made not just through what they know, but how they share it. Let's get into it.
Sweet. Well, cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Good seeing you, man.
You too.
Happy 9/11. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, it was my honor, my privilege. Thank you. Yeah, it's always, I can't believe how long ago that was, right?
It's crazy. Well, remind me, didn't it prompt you to enlist or re-enlist?
My brother did.
Oh, your brother?
Yeah, I joined in 97. So,
okay.
Yeah, that was one of those crazy days. Do you remember what you were doing exactly?
I do.
Yeah, what were you doing?
I do. I was an operator at a local utilities water plant. I was running night shifts, 12 to 12. So got off at 12 p.m. My wife is a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So typically I'd come home, sleep a couple hours. I'd be up in the morning when she was getting ready. And so I remember I was in the living room on the couch just watching the news, and my wife had just left for her teaching job. And I remember because Lewis and Floor Wax were on 103.5 The Box, right?
I remember that. Yeah.
And that was when Floor Wax was still around, because, he disappeared. He went into relapse or whatever. He was having some addiction problems. But Lewis and Floor Wax were doing their morning show with Kathy Lee.
Yeah.
And they started talking about it. And so I turned on switched the channel. It was probably ESPN or something, but I remember changing the channel. And then I called Jen on her cell phone, and I was like, I don't know what's going on, but something's going on.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah, I remember I'd only been married got married in May of 2001. By then, so I was in the reserves. That's how I signed up, but I had to do a lot of active duty before. And I was in Intel.
Yeah.
So when I remember, so I was working in the car business, and I was working for Mike Naughton Ford.
Uh-huh.
Big Mike Naughton.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
my grandfather's. He was my grandfather's dealer.
Oh, really?
He
yeah.
bought all of his cars.
Oh, yep.
And Cadillacs from that guy.
Yeah, and so I go in at 10 o'clock, And had early shift that would stay till like nine, or late shift that would stay till like 9 p.m. at the dealership. And so I slept in a little bit, and I get up, and my wife's just glued to the TV. And I remember looking at it, and I was like, "What movie are you watching?" And she was like, "It's not a movie." And then I just was reading the ticker on the bottom, and then we saw the second plane go in, and I just started making sure that I had everything that I needed in case I thought we were going to get called up to actively right then. Right. Yeah, and then I ended up going to the dealership, and there was not a soul there the rest of the day. We all just sat by the TV and watched it. Yeah, it was surreal.
That was insane.
Crazy, man. Well, you've worn a lot of hats. I think you've probably worn more hats than anyone I've had.
Yeah, but only one water hat.
Only one water.
Right? And that's the beauty of the water industry is you can be a accountant.
Yeah.
You can be a mechanic. You can program computers.
Yeah.
You can do anything. So, yeah, I have worn a lot of hats. My background is in operations.
Yeah, why don't you get a little closer to the mic and give us a rundown of all the hats you've worn.
Yeah. So, my path to water was predestined.
In the family?
Yeah, well, my father retired as a manager of water treatment at a local water utility, and most people assume that he got me into the water biz, but he did not. I actually got him into it. We'll get into that a little bit, but so I was in high school, and I was finishing up my junior year, and my mom comes in and says, "I got you a job." Crazy Italian. So there was no what? It was okay, when do I show up? So she had a friend that worked for this municipality, and they were hiring summer interns at the wastewater plant. And she said, "Oh, Josh needs something to do all summer." And
was that North Glen? Was that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, City of North Glen. So I showed up to be a summer intern, and I was whacking weeds and mowing lawns and fixing the irrigation system. And the way it turned out, they were looking for somebody to come in and do their job for them, right? So there's all these old school operators there. And so, I show up every day, and I'm early and work hard, ask a lot of questions, right? And so it didn't take them long to figure out they could have me do their job for them, right? And so I was at the plant, and it was old school, so it was pre-instrumentation and SCADA systems, so it was all solid state.
It's like early 90s?
Electronics, 1990, yeah. And so we had line charts, all over, and huge panels. It's like Homer Simpson when he's operating the nuclear plant, right? Yeah. It was like that. And so the guy's name is Vince Altman. I think he passed away. He was living down in South Arizona, last I heard. But he was a chain smoker, and he had this gigantic plate that was it was the color of the bourbon, and it was like a big hand-blown glass ashtray, but it was the size of a dinner plate.
Oh my gosh!
And he would end-to-end chain smoke cigarettes, and I swear his goal at the end of his 12-hour shift was to have a perfect pyramid of his ashes. So he would just build this ash pyramid up every day, and back then we were smoking inside. And everything, and so he says, "Hey, we're gonna go to lunch. You think you could watch the plant?" And I said, "Yeah, I can watch the plant." And he said, "All right, well, just sit here, and when this alarm goes off, push this button." And I'm like, "No, that's not how this is gonna go down." If you want to explain to me what the hell's going on, I'll happily do whatever you just said. And so he says, "Well, there's a pump running."
I think that's how Chernobyl happened.
That's right. Yeah, just
stand here when this goes off. Push this button.
Push this button, right? And I'm like, that doesn't sound right. So he says, a pump's on, we're filling a tank, and when the tank gets full, we're going to turn the pump off. And so I'm like, okay, well, the alarm part is not registering in my brain.
Yeah.
Like, okay. So I'm like, yeah, I got it. And so I'm sitting there staring at this wall, and I'm watching the tenths of a feet tick up. And so I go back into the lab and grab a calculator, and I go, okay, this is going up X number of feet per minute. And I have 4 feet before I turn the pump off. So I have 23 minutes to go do something else. So I go to the lab. We were running old school labs, like Winkler DOs, inverted, graduated cylinders, the whole nine. And so I'm in the lab messing around. I set a timer. I come back out, stop the pump before the alarm goes off, right? And I didn't know it, but I was just doing detention time calcs, like just doing detention time calcs, right? And so it kind of progressed from there, and I kept asking a lot of questions, and so they started having me mix chemicals, whatnot, and so like it was summer, it's July, so back then we didn't have any bulk chemicals, so one hot July day they're like, oh, I need you to go mix a batch of sodium hydroxide, and so I'm like, okay. So you go out to the chemical building, and there's literally a magic marker line on the tank, and it says put water in first, fill to here, then add 1 bag, 50-pound powder bag of sodium hydroxide, run the mixer for 1 hour. So I go, okay. So fill the tank up. The only way I knew how to handle 50-pound bags of chemical were I'd worked with concrete, right? So I split a 50-pound bag and put it over my shoulder, climbed the ladder, dumped it into the tank, started the mixer for an hour. I'm done. So I'm walking back to the control room, like my neck,
burn.
Oh, on fire. I'm just on fire. No PPE. Nobody's heard of like health and safety. None of that, right? And so I go back in, different operator, but he gets a chuckle out of it. I was like, I don't know what the hell. But, sodium hydroxide and water do not mix.
Right.
Like, it'll burn through the leather in your boots, like, whatever. It's pH 12.5, right? So he's like, oh, the locker room's over there. Go rinse yourself off. Quit being a little bitch. Right? And so that was kind of my entry into water operations. And so I went to high school my senior year. End of my senior year, I had enrolled in college. I was studying engineering, but I was still working at the plant, and I was toggling between the wastewater plant and the water plant. And my mentor, who was also the first boss I ever had, gave me the old Texas manuals. It was like, hey, you should start studying these. You can take your operator certifications. Yeah. And so they were giving the tests at the Duane Physics Building and up at CU, and all you had to do is show your ID, and it was a handwritten test, no Scantron. It was old school.
I know Nick still talks about when he did those certifications, and it used to be up at CU, and that was back before the Distribution 4 was.
Yeah, I got grandfathered in to the 4, but it was voluntary. It wasn't even a state mandate back then, and so so I passed my Class D water and wastewater operator test. So I go back to my boss. It's probably August by the time I get the paperwork back or whatnot. So he throws the keys on the desk and he says, oh, congratulations, you're going to run the night shift. So I ran nights at the wastewater plant and paid my way through college.
At 18?
Yeah.
Where did you go to college at?
Well, I started at CU in Boulder.
Yeah.
And I was in the engineering program. And like I knew I loved operations, really good math and science. But a couple of my friends had graduated, and they were in the basement of Black and Beach paying their dues.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I want to go see what you're
doing
up
all
to.
the bitch work.
Oh,
copy paste.
Yeah, they were literally specking. They were staring at pump curves 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
Specking pumps. And I was like, oh, where's this pump station? They're like,
we don't know.
No idea. And I was like, you're doing this 8 hours a day? And they're like, yeah, I'm paying my dues. And I was like, that sounds fucking terrible. And then I did know a couple of engineers, and they were weird. you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, I got to be friends with some of them, but they were still weird. And
It's like a weird, it's a 50-50. Some of the coolest people I know in this industry are engineers.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, you meet another one, you're like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, and so in the back of my head, I was like, I knew I didn't want to be an engineer.
Yeah.
And so.
But you didn't realize you naturally were, because an engineer just solves problems.
That's right. That's right. And so, yeah. And so I love the engineering piece of it. And I was really good at it. And I'm a kinetic learner. Like,
Yeah.
I can read books and I'm super smart, but if I take it apart, put it back together,
You'll learn.
I got it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I can read about it and conceptualize it, but really I'm a kinetic learner. And so I go to my college counselor and I say, you know, I don't think I want to be an engineer. And he was like, oh, don't worry about it. Like, everybody struggles, you know. And I was like, you know, fuck you. Like, pull up my transcripts, you know. So he pulls it up, and I already taken diff EQ and thermodynamics, and like, I never got a B in college, right? Yeah. And he's like, oh, this is a first. And so he was actually really cool. He helped me out quite a bit. He said, so what do you want to do? And I said, I think I want to be the boss. Like, I don't know what that looks like, but like, I think I want to be the boss. And he said, all right, well, so we played a couple scenarios out, I audited a couple classes. So it was going to be political science, because I was fascinated by political science, like, still am, like, to this day. Economics, right?
Okay.
Which I also really enjoyed, and finance. And so at the end of the day, we felt like he did a great job getting me to this point.
Like business? That's
yeah, so my undergrad's in finance, and then I stayed and got an MBA.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So what I should have done, and I could have taken my fundamentals, but why, right? So I should have double majored is what I should have done, but hindsight, right? And so so I changed my major to finance, and we felt like that was the path to utility management.
Okay.
Like, at a higher level.
Yeah,
right?
so you'd already been working in the utility, you know, for the city, and you were looking at managing that, or yeah.
Yeah, and so it didn't take me long. So in 4 years, I had passed all my Class A. So I'm Class A water, wastewater, industrial, Class 4 distribution collection. Back then it was Class 3, but
yeah.
So I got all my certs. I became like the chief plant operator.
Wow.
Then I was plant supervisor, and then I went to work for the city of Aurora, and was exposed to construction management and operations commissioning startup of large capital projects.
Wow.
So I went to Aurora as plant manager, and they're like, oh, we're building the Griswold plant. It used to be called the Cooper plant. Like, back in the day.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting. So we built, it was a Jacobs design, and a GC was called Western Summit at the time.
Yeah.
They got bought by Kiewit years later. But so, you know, I'm the kid that shows up at 5:30 a.m. and the general contractor is opening up the trailer. So I'm just up his ass, like, what's this? What's this? He's like, well, you want to do some plan review? You want to provide comments on the P&IDs of the plant? And I'm like, hell yeah. Right?
Oh, you're probably his best friend.
Yeah.
Because usually they don't get all that. Yeah,
no, they don't. Yeah. So he's like, you want to give me feedback on these P&IDs? And I was like, well, that's what's running the plant, right? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, give them to me, right? And so I became like this operational liaison between the engineer and the general contractor. And so, so we built that plant. It was a $30 million construction project, and I had no idea the magnitude of it. I was just like, I found my home, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so we opened that plant up, and there was a guy named what's his name?
With Aurora, or at the
it must have been
still there.
It must have been Tom Griswold. I think it was Tom Griswold.
Okay.
So he passed away of cancer. He was a utility director. He passed away, and they decided to rename the treatment plant the Griswold plant. Well, they didn't tell the Cooper family. So the Cooper family, so we had the grand opening. We did startup commissioning, the whole nine. It was a cool project. They had a hydraulic jump, and we put a rapid mix in, all this cool stuff. So
Is that right tied in with the purification facility that's there too? Is that
yeah, it's,
same? Yeah. So right by. So it's just to the north and to the east of Cherry Creek.
Clinton and Hampton.
Oh, okay.
Clinton,
okay. So there's
Clinton,
another. Yeah. So there's another Griswold. There's a purification raw water.
Drinking water.
That's over right near the.
That's right. You're thinking.
I'm thinking of the raw
Sand
water
Creek.
one. Yeah.
Sand Creek is the,
Off of like Hampton.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, Hampton and Clinton is the Griswold plant.
Yeah, okay.
Right there by Meadow Hills.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, that's the one.
That's
yeah.
it.
Yeah, we had a 42-inch swing check valve with dual air canisters going there. And they waited, and it was like it took, and I want to say it was during COVID, and it took like 54 weeks.
Oh, geez.
And when it came out, when it got there, it was one of those. I think it was delivered in March. I look when it was uploaded because of the pictures on LinkedIn. But I think it might have been May, but it was one of those storms. You know, the ones that we get in May, where it was like 60, 70 degrees, all sunny and day, and then you got like a warning for 3 feet of snow.
Yeah, where one shovel weighs 80 pounds.
Yeah, and they had to take in order to get that because everything else was built up. They didn't wait on it. They put a spool piece in, and then so when they were ready, they pulled the roof off of the building. And they were freaking out because the driver, they were like counting for when the driver was going to be there. Supposed to be there at like 9 a.m. And the storm was going to hit at like 2.
Oh, jeez.
Because they wanted to get it craned in and then get the roof back up because we had like 3 feet of snow.
Right. Did you get it in?
Barely. Yeah, he was a little bit late. And then, but the snow came early. So there was flurries not when we first got there. It was perfect and sunny. But as it was going in, there were flurries. And then I think they got it back on just in time. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a cool plant. Yeah, so we're dedicating it. The Cooper family shows up, pitches a fit.
Because it was going to be named
Yeah.
Cooper.
And so they go, oh, we're sorry. And they gave him the Xeriscape Garden. So if you go to the Griswold plant, there's the Xeriscape Garden called the Cooper Garden. It was nasty. So anyway, I'm giving a tour to folks from Denver Water. And, I've always been. You're in sales. I'm in sales. Everybody's in sales. We're always selling ourselves.
Everything's sales.
But I'm a super passionate guy, right? So, a guy named Steve Wirt, Ken Pollock, probably Garth Rigg. I don't know. I'm probably dropping Garth. Too many names, but
Garth's a great dude.
Yeah. So I'm giving him a tour of the Griswold plant, and I'm like, "Oh, we did this, and I was crawling in this hole. Oh, and this was all fucked up when we tried to start it. We couldn't get the process variable right on the HMI, and this is the workaround." Like, just taking them through the plant, Well, I didn't know they were getting ready to build a plant.
Gotcha.
So they called, and they're like, "Oh, well, you want to come play?" So I went to Denver Water, and we built the Plant 1 rebuild. So we put air scour, dual media filters in, learned a ton. So the project was probably $13 million over budget, 9 months late.
So by now you went from having being an intern in high school, or not an intern because you're a part-time job in high school, to then part-time running a shift for a plant, paying through college, to then doing construct. Well, at first it was.
I was an operator.
And then years, to becoming a construction liaison.
Yeah.
Overseeing the plant construction now Denver Water.
Yeah, as plant supervisor.
And we're talking about how much time has passed here. We're still in the late 90s now, or mid.
Yeah, it was right around. It was 2000.
Okay, so
because I spent Y2K at Aurora.
Okay. That I can only imagine. He taught computer science at the Air Force Academy. So I remember the whole Y2K deal.
Yeah.
And he was working by then for, I think at that time, he had led, but he had worked at Diners Club, Citibank. He does AI, works for Schwab now. But I remember back then everyone was like freaking out. You remember that the whole world was
Oh, yeah.
because what are the computers going to do?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, they
what's
didn't do
going to
anything.
happen? Yeah, they didn't do
Yeah.
anything.
Well, we watched it come from, we were Loveland or London, East Coast, we watched it come.
I still think it's funny that even if they were all freaked out about that, it's like, well, you didn't see that coming. Like, like hello, it's only like 10 years away.
Right. Right. It's just another digit.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. So I'm at Denver Water. I'm running the treatment group and doing a lot of construction management and commissioning startup, full integration of SCADA.
Yeah.
So I ran the Foothills plant, 300 MGD plant, and the Marston plant, 300 MGD plant. And managed construction projects while I was there. And so I started getting involved in, different technologies. And so I'm kind of going to the managers at Denver Water, and I'm like, I don't think conventional treatment is going to be where we're at 20 years from now.
Okay.
So why are we building treatment plants that are supposed to last 30 years, conventional plants? Doesn't make any sense. We should start looking at membranes. We should start looking at UV. Well, Denver Water is this huge machine.
Yeah, they are.
Right? And so the saying goes, the gears turn slow and they grind mighty fine, right? And so Denver Water to this day was the best employer I've ever been associated with.
Yeah, I heard a lot.
As an employee.
Yeah.
Right? And Michelle, they take great care of their employees. But here I am trying to set the world on fire.
That's what I've noticed. I mean, and there's people like Garth who are they have a continuous improvement program, but that's we used to always use the phrase when you're talking about a massive organization. It's like having an aircraft carrier pull a U-turn.
Yeah.
And you can do it in a destroyer. You can do it in a smaller ship, but getting an aircraft carrier to do that, and that's what that organization is. So they have guys that at least they're there, but that's most of the people that have left Denver Water when I do talk to them.
And they do great stuff.
No, I had Mayor Mike Kaufman on, and I told him, I said right now
on the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, he was here 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
Yeah, and what I told him was, and I said, the first things first, I have to, tell you how great of an organization Aurora Water is. I don't know if you've been to their new, that place freaking sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I was telling, but the people they have there, Brian Van Winkle, Marina Lurch, and I know I'm make sure I got
Brian
everyone when I was
Caulfield,
talking to him. Yeah. I said, Aurora Water right now is, I said, Denver Water as well, but, and Carl Springs Utilities with some of the approaches they're taking with corrosion and stuff, but, they do it, if not the best, just as, those are the top.
Oh, for sure. And they're super pragmatic. But at the end of the day, I felt like my radius of influence, my team was high performing, but I didn't feel like I was affecting the organization.
Yeah, that's usually what we hear. Yeah,
right. And so that's not that's not a knock. It's just It's just a conflict of I have a lot of energy and that.
And there's a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of departments.
People.
Yeah. And then you get people that sometimes don't like when there's change. But Denver Water is different because it is for profit. So there is that thing that drives. It's a private.
Yeah.
And so the board does drive change, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're one of the few that are actually, they're recouping what it actually costs to operate.
Yeah.
They're not operating in a deficit like most utilities.
Well, right? Then they get the extra pickup with the Broncos there this week, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
They sold 25 or 29 acres to the Broncos this week?
Yeah, and it was pretty much name your price.
Yeah.
Plus, they've got to pay to relocate all those buildings. So.
Well, I thought that area that they had there, so they don't have to. Is that part of their campus?
They're moving some Denver Water buildings.
Some of the buildings, yeah. Okay, but those are the ones that before they went to the new building.
No, the fleet. I think the fleet building, maybe a warehouse.
The
Credit
fleet, and then
union, for
the
sure.
and then what about the shop that's way down at the
Yeah, so everything under the bridge or close to
okay,
that bridge
that's gonna.
on the south side. My understanding. I don't know. All I know is
I heard they're gonna do a whole river walk there. That's gonna be.
Oh, I'm sure.
That's gonna be.
Yeah, it'll be cool.
They'll just make it the extra special place for the Denver Water employees. Man, they got
Oh my
all the
gosh.
perks. Dude, you can imagine being right next to the stadium like that. You can go in there. Got to be some kind of a deal they worked out there too with the Broncos for the stadium.
Go to
Hey,
the cafeteria.
Denver Water's got a little few
They're gonna have to put
tickets.
some big fences up.
Yeah,
That's a lot of people walking around.
it is. Yeah.
So, but yeah, so from Denver Water, I went to see Thornton.
Okay.
Got really involved in membranes and UV technology. So, spent some time in Collingwood, Canada.
And just in case anyone's listening that doesn't, when you talk about membranes and UV, if you were to put it in the most basic layman's terms for somebody that's either new in water or in distribution and not on the treatment side.
So, membranes are man-made, basically carbon chain polymer filters. So there's two types of membranes. There's sheet
And this is when you're treating water for
for drinking water.
Okay.
Yep. So there's submerged hollow fiber membranes, like a straw.
Okay.
So you're going to suck on the straw and you're going to pull water through the surface of the straw, and the clean water goes on the inside. Sometimes they're reverse flow. And sheet membrane you can roll, and that's what we typically call nano filtration or RO. So I spent some time with a company called Xenon. They were based mom and pop shop at Collingwood, Canada, and they took us up there and showed us how they extrude the hollow fiber membranes. So it's like a Lego Play-Doh set. They put the ball of goo in the press, and they press down on it, and it comes out in noodles, like a big old pasta machine, right? And so I learned all about fouling and how you clean them, and flux and recovery and all those things. Kind of becoming a membrane expert, and then at parallel to that, we were validating at the time the largest UV reactor in the United States. So you've got to have a source water quality that's pure, and you've got to run the UV reactor at the rated capacity. So in this case, 22 million gallons a day, and then you spike it with a real pathogen. So the way UV works is it actually zaps the DNA helix at the point of reproduction. So UV doesn't kill an organism, it just prohibits it from reproducing.
Okay.
And so you'd spike your source water with an actual pathogen, and then you'd monitor at the end. And if pathogens were making it through and still reproducing, we could measure that. And we would go back in and hydraulically modify where all the UV sleeves were. So
Okay.
there might be 10 sleeves crossing the path of flow for the water. And so we might spread them out. We might bring them closer together. We might angle them. But every piece of light has to hit every molecule of water, right? And so we would adjust the UV reactors until we reached zero inactivation, or 100% inactivation of a pathogen. So there's only 3 places in the world that you can pump 22 mgd, and if your UV doesn't work, you're putting it back in the river, right?
Yeah.
So like there's a place on the Columbia River, and there's 2 places in Europe. So we did a little world tour for validating the UV reactor. So
Research.
yeah, research, yeah, or boondoggle, right? And so that was with Severn Trent, and then we did a little bit of work with Trojan,
Okay.
back in the day, and so from there, I had a pretty interesting boss at Thornton, and we were finished up with the West Brown plant. So we built the Columbine plant, which was later named West Brown, 50 mgd submersible membrane treatment plant. And my first boss guy named Kip Scott. He is now at East Cherokee Valley.
Okay.
He calls me and says, "Hey, we're getting ready to build a RO plant in Brighton."
I'm sensing a pattern here.
Yeah. So you want to go play? And so I went to East Cherokee Valley for 3 or 4 years, 5 years.
Treatment guys, man.
I'm telling you. And it's nothing to bounce around because you're doing the same thing, right? And so it's not, there's not a high ramp up speed, right?
It's funny, like the most passionate guys I know in this industry.
Yeah.
There's a couple, so it's like I do control valves, PRVs, right? So like PRVs, those guys, same thing. And then you get the guys that you can, like treatment, like, Frank with, who's with ISI.
Yeah.
President of ISI. And then, I think I can't remember who they sold to. But yeah, like Frank's a treatment guy. Like when you go, like.
But I'm an exposure guy. So I'm at this point in my life where I want exposure to everything.
Yeah.
Like I can't learn enough.
Yeah.
So
well, that's what I was just. I mean,
different.
as you're talking, right?
Yeah.
It's so. This is what's fascinating to me, and I brought it up in the podcast about this industry is that, really this is kind of how everything came about with the name like Utility Room Legends. Is all the stuff, everything that goes into water infrastructure is insane. If people knew, it's like a whole another universe inside of like the world that we live in.
And
that
guys
everyone
just figured
everyone
it
just
out.
thinks it's there.
Yeah.
Like if you're outside of this bubble, it's so crazy. It's like. Before I got into the industry, I had no idea what the hell any of this was, right? You just turn on the faucet and there's the water.
Right.
And then and then when I got into it, it was like, we were kind of in a limited section of what industries or markets, are controlling and moving water, whether it's irrigation, ag, plumbing, fire. And there's just volumes of books and literature and things you can look up. And, now I'm at 13 years and I know nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I have a lot of knowledge,
Right.
But the cool thing is it's all available. It's out there. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do this, was to shed light on how much is out there, because most people just see this one part, if they even see it.
Yeah.
And it's
the joke
huge.
is we've been telling the wrong story.
Yeah.
So when I was managing utilities at a young age, my immature mind thought that we wanted to be taken for granted. So I want grandma to turn on the tap and water to come out. And I don't want her thinking about us. And then I want somebody to take a shower and it goes away, right? I don't want them to think about us. So I used to say
that was the original thinking, right?
We want to be taken for granted, because that way, if somebody is contacting us, they're our first line of defense. We know something's wrong. Right? And that's absolutely incorrect. We should have been shouting from the rooftops what we're actually doing behind the scenes and how amazing it is.
It is.
And that allows us to actually charge the correct amount for what we're doing. And we haven't done that for the last 30 years.
No,
right?
and look, I mean, it's kind of like, it's like the last thing that you want is to be underfunded and underappreciated, because if it's taken for granted, like you're not getting funding that you need.
Yeah.
If people don't realize how important it is, they're not gonna focus on look. I mean, well, if you want to know, it's like look at Excel.
Yeah.
I always tell people all the time.
Yeah.
Like, talking to cities and it's like, have you looked at doing a rate study, right, to increase your rates?
Sure.
And they're like, if we increase our rates by, 2 cents per 1,000 gallon, you got people out there with pitchforks.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, did you ask them how their Excel bill is going, or how their power or gas, like,
Or their cell phone.
Yeah. Like, look at how much you pay now. Like, dude, I'm up to I got 4 people in my family. We're up to the mid 200s.
Yeah.
A month.
Oh, for sure.
I used to pay fucking $40 for that.
Right.
Don't even bat an eye.
Yeah.
Because you need it.
Yeah.
And and it's there, it's tangible. But water, you just stay,
Yeah, so it's crazy. So people aren't thinking about us, and then their bill goes up. Well, there's a shock because they're not thinking about us, right? So we're getting better at it. We're getting better.
Well, that's because we have people
Dedicated to
like you, and there's a lot of people that are there and like really driving the message of how important it is and what's needed.
Well, and speaking of you can do anything in water, we used to have the weird engineer with the pocket protector. He was our public-facing leader. Now we're saying, oh, we need a PR person.
Yes.
Oh, we need a marketing. We have social media people.
Yeah.
The larger utilities have social media people. So Denver Water just put out the Backstreet Boys V2
I saw that one.
song. That's totally cool.
Yeah,
Totally
that's
cool.
right.
Something Tuesday. I'm a Friday. Yeah, so East Cherokee Valley. So we built a 30-mile pipeline to nowhere. So people were calling Dave Canisto, like, who was that? David Koresh? Who was the guy with that had everybody drink the poison in the Purple Rose?
Oh, and David Crush is Waco. I know who you're talking about.
Waco. No, yeah.
But I know who you're talking about.
know
the
so Dave Canisto's.
that was like they went down like South America or something. Yeah.
And everybody drank the
Right, the
poison
Kool-Aid,
or
yeah.
whatever at the same time.
Yeah.
And they were all wearing the same shoes or
Yeah,
some shit.
Nikes.
Yeah. And so like they were calling Dave Canisto that guy. So the general manager at East Cherokee Valley, one of the most forward-thinking managers. He's still around, but he was light years ahead of everybody. So he was like, we're going to build a 30-mile pipeline to Brighton,
He's still at
Colorado.
ECCB?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's still a general manager. Great guy. And so
We got to get him on here.
he's pretty to himself. He's
Oh,
pretty to himself. Yeah.
One of those engineer.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but brilliant. And so he was like, they're building this highway. It's called 470. So we're going to procure an easement in the periphery of this highway, and we're going to put a 48-inch and a 54-inch pipeline from Gun Club all the way to Brighton while they're building this highway. Freaking genius. So we built this pipeline nowhere. They were like lynching him. So he got like a $30 million bond that all the ratepayers at East Cherokee Valley.
Is that why I'm
pay
still
for.
paying for that fucking highway?
H2O, yeah. Right? H2O. So it was 2020 was when we were supposed to finish it.
Yeah.
So it was called H2O. And like I still pay it on my bill. It's $52. But anyway, they're like, that guy's insane.
And that's on that's on which bill? That's for
For
ECCB, because you're ECCB where you're at.
Are you
Okay.
Aurora?
I'm Aurora.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and we're close, but
Yeah.
so now he looks like the smartest guy in the room. A 30-mile pipeline is nothing. So Parker's looking at $1 billion 100-mile pipeline to Fort Morgan. Mm-hmm. Right? We're talking about RWR taking water from Alamosa to Poncha Springs. Like, the guy was a genius.
Well, look at Aurora and this was brought up with Mike Coffin is, that project that Bureau of Reclamation's on up there by Buena Vista.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
These are massive.
Massive billion-dollar projects.
Yeah.
So Canisto's like 30-mile pipeline. We're going to spend the money. And we built RO plant up in Brighton and the 2 pump stations in the pipeline.
Okay, so that's where there's that's where they have. There's a project right now. It's an upgrades to treatment plant, and it's in Brighton, but it's owned by Aurora. It's an Aurora project. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but that makes sense though. It's up.
Well, Aurora's doing enhancements to their reservoir treatment up in Brighton.
Okay.
So they're operating a bunch of gravel pits, and they're providing limited treatment, and that's probably the Binney plant.
Yeah, it is.
Supply for the
That's
Binney
it.
plant. Mm-hmm. And then South Metro Water Supply Authority just built a pump station at Binney. That's raw water supply. And then Brighton's updating their treatment plant. So fast forward.
So you're still at ECCB, and we haven't even gotten halfway into where we're at now for you.
So fast forward to 2010.
Okay.
And
I'm still not in the business yet.
And I'm getting the itch, right? So my wife says to me, "You know what? You're a really shitty employee." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
Well, a wife would know.
I was like, "What are you talking about? I'm amazing. I am amazing.
So you turn to your wife and you're like, you're a shitty employee.
Yeah, you're a shitty third graders. They don't know.
My wife's a paraeducator, and that's what those teachers do. Oh my goodness.
God bless them.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So she had a point. She's like, I can tell you're getting ready to just go be an employee at another city.
Yeah.
Right? So my whole life, my dad's an entrepreneur. So he owned a restaurant. He had a sports card business, memorabilia. He ran card shows at malls.
Oh yeah.
So I was the kid that went and picked up.
Dude, I used to have every top set from like
Yes.
83.
So I was the kid that
my prized possession, the 83 Steve Young rookie card.
I was the guy that picked up the superstars from DIA.
Nice.
And brought them in for the autograph signing. So Paul Horning.
Oh, okay.
That dude, he was a dog, man. That guy was something else. So he's talking to me like Tony Gwynn.
So
I'd go pick these guys up from the airport and bring them for the autographs.
Gary Sheffield, Tony Gwynn.
Yeah, all those guys.
What was the name of the sports shop that your dad had?
The DH.
Where was it at?
It was up in North Glen.
Okay.
Yeah.
I used to go to Bill's Sports
Oh,
Club.
I know Bill.
Back in the day.
Yeah. Bill. Bill's on Broadway.
Because there wasn't much back then.
Mike Fruitman. Stadium Source Cards right over
Yeah.
here. He was a good buddy of my dad's. Yeah.
Okay.
So I know Mike really well. And so I was a kid when they were running their mall, Westminster Mall or whatever. So anyway, so I think my dad's entrepreneurial spirit lives in me, but it also drove me to security. So I always wanted a paycheck every 2 weeks. I always wanted benefits because we were either like really fat or really skinny. He never saved for retirement, all those things. And so I think in the back of my mind, I was like, I want to work in government. I don't want to, I always want insurance. I always want retirement. I always, want all these things. And so, total sidebar, when I was at Denver Water, my dad comes into my office at the old Denver Water, and kind of looks around and he goes, you don't look like you work very hard. And I was like, oh, God, here we go. And he goes, I think I'm going to do what you do.
Really?
Yeah. And I go, okay. So I got him an internship with a guy named Mark Hartman at City of Louisville. And my dad was the summer intern. He's 50. He was a summer intern at a water plant, goes through and gets his A certification, and ends up being the treatment manager at a utility up north. So he retired as a water treatment manager. So he got into the water biz, and then.
So when you were saying like it was kind of meant to be, like, is that what you're referring to as far as family being?
Yeah. It's crazy. Like,
well, I mean that is crazy because it's weird. My family kind of has, and mine was like unbeknownst to me with similar type of deals. I mean my grandfather was Army Corps of Engineer, and he retired as a full bird colonel, which was fun in boot camp.
Now, when you say bird, what is that?
That's so you have lieutenant colonel. So if you're looking at ranks in the military, right? So you have captain that has the 2 bars, and so captain, and then you have lieutenant colonel that has the oak leaf. Okay, and then it's silver, right? And then, gold. And then when you go to, so you have lieutenant colonel, and then when you're at colonel, it's a eagle, so it's full bird.
Oh,
so they call full bird colonel.
Gotcha.
So it's right before you get to brigadier general. So 1-star general.
So it's up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's called field grade. So
Okay.
Yeah. So field grade officer.
You can get there enlisted?
No.
Okay.
Oh, well, you can enlist in the military, and you have programs to get there. There are people who have done it. Mike Kaufman's one of them. I mean, a very amazing story.
Was he full bird?
I think he retired as might have been full bird or lieutenant colonel. I don't want to misrepresent, but he was. I mean, yes, I believe he was a colonel by the time he left.
Okay.
And matter of fact, he was in the same. He was in the same squadron that I was in. I was in a different unit out of Buckley. But he actually enlisted in the Army and then retired as a Marine Corps officer.
That story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was, but my grandfather was, and he was Army Corps of Engineers, so he was an engineer. And he went to Purdue, got his engineering degree there. And I don't, I know my grandpa was being my grandpa, so I don't know what type of an engineer he was. Like because when I look at engineers, you have two roles, right? I mean, you are there to solve problems, but if you can't effectively communicate the solution to those problems, you're going to have a hard time as an engineer. And that's, I've over at, I don't know if you've ever went to the Wyoming Engineers Conference. It's called the WES.
Okay.
So I went up there and I taught a couple classes.
Society? Wyoming
Engineer Society. Yeah. Okay. And then they have a chapter at University of Wyoming, and I taught a couple classes for them. During the conference, I went up and taught, filled in, especially during COVID. I think I filled in for like 3 classes a year of COVID. Nice. And then the students went over to, at the time, the professor who was in charge of their chapter of the WS, and now he has his own engineering firm. He left teaching, right? And but he asked me to go up there and do some classes. And I remember I'd run into some students that were, even so they'd be like, "So you don't have an engineering degree?" Which I don't, but I used to joke around. Yeah. So on my profile for LinkedIn, it says it says degree. I have a degree in improvising, adapting, and overcoming from the United States Marine Corps.
Yes.
What's funny though is it passes that initial flag.
Yeah.
When someone's, "Oh, you have a degree." So when I was up there, like, "You really don't have a degree, do you?" And I remember this one student there just really, she was like the president of for the students. And I finally said, so you don't realize that once you get out of this industry, like, what are you going to do? Civil? Like, what's your trade? Right. What's your specialty? Right. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, so that could mean you get hired by a firm to do whatever they want you to do.
Right.
You're going to be that person that calls around. You're going to do all the bitch work like you were talking about, right?
Specs.
And here's the bottom line. You're not worth a damn at the upper level unless you can effectively communicate the reason at a firm, the reason for the design, what the problems are, how you're addressing them. Your job is to provide the best value, the best design for a project, and then let the client from there, tailor it out to whatever they feel their needs are. But as an engineer, you say, here's the best design we've made for you.
Yeah.
Now you make the choice.
It is. Well, and you've experienced this. I've experienced it. I'm not an engineer.
Yeah.
And when I tell people I'm not an engineer, coming out of a value engineering meeting or this is...
And yet you've owned an engineering
This
firm.
is this is a design bust. Like, how are we going to fix it? Well, let's get on the whiteboard and figure it out, right? And so we leave a meeting, and I go, "Why? I'm not an engineer." And they're like, "You're not an engineer?" I'm like, "I'm not an engineer. I like to solve problems."
That's an engineer, though.
But I'm not, like, on paper. So there's 2 kinds of engineers. There's guys that, like, you don't have a PE, you're not shit, and they never get over that. Yeah. They never get over it. And then there's engineers that go, "Holy shit, this guy's been in the hole.
This guy knows how to. This guy knows." Well, it's the guy that's calling you,
right,
to figure out the design.
That's right. And so, but what you and I have is we have a faster speed to value with the end user, right? So when we work with operators, we work with mechanics, we work with the people that have to make it work, or they're struggling. Remember the sight tube at Dominion, right?
Yeah.
Like, we have instant street cred, and when you go in the field, you're dealing with the operators, and they don't want to see an engineer.
Right.
They want to see somebody that knows what's going on.
That understands what they're dealing with.
Yes. Yeah. And so I think there's a place for both, but I totally hear you when...
You brought up an interesting point, because that's kind of what, what we've done, tried to do with UGO is be that there is a niche there. There's that gap where you're not necessarily an engineer, but you understand both sides. I've talked to engineers who are not, they don't want to talk to the client directly, right? But they're very good at what they do, and sometimes they'll be like, I think one of the things that happens in this industry is engineers are afraid to ask the questions, because if they do, They're afraid because they've been in this classroom mentality their whole lives.
Yeah, they're insecure.
And they're insecure, and they're afraid that if I ask this question, I'm gonna come off stupid to this person who's doing this. And it's like, and I always tell them, like, it's funny because I can hear it on the phone.
Yeah.
I'll have a guy who's like, and he's not wanting to. He's wanting to know, like he knows what he's talking about. And I'll just say, hey, look, there's no possible way that you can understand this.
Right.
And at first they can kind of get taken back. And I'm like, I'm not saying that because you can't understand the concept. I can help you understand the concept.
Right.
But do you know how many, just like we talked, do you know how many hundreds of millions of products are in this industry?
Yeah.
And I can relate because when I was in Intel in the Marine Corps, I was specialized into imagery. But when you go in the military, in the Marine Corps, they put you in, the S2 shop. So you're in the Intel shop. So everyone just thinks you're Intel. It's like, I don't know the atomic weight of cobalt, right? If you're going to, I know what I've, in my specialized industry, right? But so when an engineer calls and I can sense that they're trying to know, they want to make sure they know what they're talking about and they're asking me a question. I'm like, just ask me what, I want to help you figure out the problem.
Right.
And I tell them, you can't possibly understand this, not because you don't, because you're an engineer, you got a degree, I don't, right? But you can't understand, you understand the concepts of how to, the basic formulas and all of the concepts that an engineer needs to know, but you can't possibly know all these individual products. That's where you use somebody like you were talking about who's kind of that liaison in the middle. Hey, this guy specializes here. He's worked with engineers several times. This is where you go.
That's right. And so what I tell my engineers at the firm I work at currently,
the firm who shall not be named.
That's right, the firm that shall not be named. I tell my engineers, like, you do not live at the application level.
Right.
And so when you live in the application world, the best thing you can do is listen. Like, nobody doubts your capability. Nobody doubts your education. Nobody doubts how many books you've read. But when you live in the application world, as you and I do, like, those engineers need to get really humble really fast. Because if they're humble and they listen, like,
they'll solve the problem.
They will. We need them.
Absolutely.
They're a crucial part of what we're doing, but they don't live in an application world. They don't live in the end user's world. And so, well, few do. But there's a segregation that you just have to be honest about, right? Like, you design a great thing, and somebody else is going to make it work, right? And that's not a knock on you.
Nope.
It's just the real world.
I don't know if you've sat in any of the classes that I've done, but I do one that I actually, Drake Dennert at Denver Water, he works, with Garth. And,
I met him. So when I did my asset management
he's a
talk,
former Marine, so that's how we kind of,
Yeah, he was, when I did the asset management talk.
Yes, yeah.
He was there. Yeah.
So Drake, and, one evening, we had some drinks. We're both Marines, so we were talking about the Marine Corps and then toasting them back. Then of course we start talking about water, and I'm talking about all the things wrong. And he's like, "You should do a class on that." And I'm like, and I was like, "I should not do a class on that."
I have heard your class.
Yeah, and so that critical conversations in aging infrastructure is one. And in there, the point that I make all the time is engineers are really, really, really good at solving problems and designing things for a specific reason. The gap is they're not sometimes the best at communicating that.
That's right.
And so, and one example I give is I'll go into I'll have a classroom, and if I know I have engineers there, I'll say, engineers, I'll ask them, do you have any issues with overbelling or overhoming a PVC pipe in your system? And I would say almost all of them, it's immediately like shake their head like they don't even know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Then I go to the operators, and I'm like, or the guys that make the repair crews. Do you guys have any issues with overbelling, overhoming a PVC pipe in your system? And they're all going, yep.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Right.
And so what I'm trying to explain is, well, so when you guys go on a main break, Does anyone from the engineer department, and this is in-house, if you're at Denver Water, you have your own engineer, or you're Aurora Water, or, Colorado Springs Utilities, and they'll say, when was the last time you went out and made a repair and somebody from engineering called and asked what you saw? Mm-hmm. Well, what's the job of an engineer? To solve a problem.
Right.
Well, a main break constitutes as a pretty significant problem. Sure. So who would you want to try and solve that problem as to why it's happening? And when you don't have that, when you have that gap in communication like that, you can't, it's like we used to say in the Marine Corps, you're fucking combat ineffective. Mm-hmm. When you have gaps like that in the process of the mission is to deliver clean, reliable drinking water, right, to your to the people that are in your district or in your utility.
Yeah.
And if you have a gap there that you can't do that.
Yeah.
By the way, it is a shame that your firm's not named because what you're doing is kind of innovative for engineering firms.
That's cool. My engineers are mandated. So my engineers have to find one site walk,
yes,
plant tour,
I love that.
Look in a hole, whatever, one a month for each of my engineers.
Good for them.
Right? And so we get dirty.
Yeah.
But I'm going to end up with pretty good engineers.
Yeah, you will.
Right?
You will.
So, I got introspective. Mm-hmm. And I said, I'm
going to be the boss.
Yeah. So my entrepreneurial spirit, which has always been like this burning ember, I didn't know it, but I've always been super entrepreneurial, right? And so in 2010, I left East Cherry Creek Valley, and coincidentally, 2010 marked 20 years of my career.
Wow.
Damn near to the day.
That's awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
So 1990 to 2010.
2010.
And so I started my own S Corp in the spring of 2010, and I called it hydrolysis. And so back up a little bit. When I interviewed for the plant supervisor job at the Foothills plant at Denver Water, I got the job, and one of my operators, who's still a dear friend of mine, she takes me out to the filter gallery. So at the Foothills plant, it's 300 MGD plant.
Yeah.
So each filter is 40 feet by 40 feet square, and one filter does 1 MGD. So there's just a shit ton
filters
of huge filters. And that plant runs 300 MGD all day, every day. It's an easy plant to run. Like ordering chemicals is a breeze. Like you don't adjust anything. It's just set it and forget it.
And that filter salesman's in Jamaica somewhere?
Right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So she takes me out to the filter gallery, and she's like, all right, let's see it. And I was like, I don't understand what you're saying right now. She's like, well, obviously they interviewed 300 people and they hired you so you can walk across water. So let's see it. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, obviously you walk on water. Let's see it. And I was like, ha ha ha. Right. So 2010. So when I got hired for that Foothills job, in the interview, they asked me, what is hydrolysis? And I did not know. So it's supersaturation in the coagulation. So there's 3 seconds of charge neutralization in the coagulation process. So in that 3-second process of charge neutralization, hydrolysis occurs, right? So it's a supersaturation in the hydrology of you're adding all these chemicals for sediment removal. So I was pissed. I mean, I nailed that interview, right? But
except for the question,
it to this day. So I immediately went out to the car. I was like, "What the fuck is hydrolysis?" You know what I mean? Like, how do I not know that? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I was pissed. Anyway, so I named my company Hydrolysis, right? And so my thought was I can focus on commissioning startup. I can be an owner's advisor. I can be this liaison.
Yep.
And my passion is training the operators to love the new technology of what they've been given, right? And so I spent 10 years running hydrolysis. And I also got really into training. So another side note, I'm a recovering high school baseball and basketball coach.
All right.
Right? So I coached for 20 odd years.
I've been coaching. I'm on my second kid's little league football team.
Cool.
So yeah,
Very cool.
But I like 6th grade through 8th grade.
I can't do the little guys. I can't.
6th and 8th, yeah.
I can't.
I love it because, you know what I love about it is that 6th grade they go in and they get hit. Like, so, one of the assistants on their team, my oldest son did it. And then my second one was more into music. He didn't want to do it. My third one, I always thought that was, he was like, this kid's like just will bash his head in the wall. Like, and what's funny though is like in 6th grade, they'll get hit and you'll see them they'll get popped. Some of these kids are, because some of them are starting to really get to that athletic ability, like football. Below that, because I started playing in like 4th grade.
So you're in Spartans?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so so they'll get popped. You'll see somebody get
and
ear
they're starting
hold.
to ask themselves questions.
Yep.
Like,
well, you see him hit the ground. You see him hit the ground.
Is this what I want?
Yeah. Sometimes they're already starting to cry before they hit the ground, and then you can hear it, right? And then sometimes they're not hurt. They're just shocked at how violent the collision was.
Right.
But what's cool about 6th to 7th and 8th, I would never want to do it in high school because it's too. My wife already complains. I love doing it. That it's time consuming because it's Tuesday through Thursday and then Saturday, even on the little league side. And the schemes and concepts they're doing are crazy stuff I didn't even see.
Right.
Until I was in my senior year in high school and even looking at college. Like you don't see that stuff. And now the game's evolved, but I like watching them. So 6th grade, I tell them. I was talking to the head coach the other day because. I'm like, the nice thing is when you get to 7th grade, that crying, like it drops, right? And then 8th grade, these kids, now they're young men and they're getting ready. Like this is where you're prepping them for high school.
Peer pressure.
Yes. And so you start to see where they're like, like they want to, right? But it's cool watching these kids progress athletically in their ability and their size even.
It's awesome. But you know what I love about my boys and 20-year coaching career at a high level.
Yeah.
Right. So I have.
You were high school, right?
Yeah. So what happened was I was an assistant coach, and our head coach, who was a dear friend of mine, he was actually my coach. He was killed in a car accident. So I immediately transitioned to a higher level of coaching through a terrible accident. Right.
So it was the same high school that you went to?
Yeah.
Where'd you go to high school?
I graduated from Faith Christian.
Okay. Yeah.
And I spent a couple of years at a little private school in Nevada called Maranatha. It's not there anymore. But primarily I coached at Maranatha and another small private school in Westminster called Bellevue.
Okay.
But the interesting thing is I'm 20 years old coaching 18-year-olds, right? And so, it served me well in my career because I'm like, I can get a 16-year-old to get fired up about something. Like, I'm not worried about a grumpy old man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the hardest group to motivate.
It is.
Right? And so, as a leader, if you can know how to manipulate people of all backgrounds
or manage,
motivations.
Yeah, you know what drives them.
Well, being a parent is manipulating.
Being a parent is,
right.
Being a manager is not, or a coach because you can't.
You have leverage.
Well,
right. Being a boss, being a coach, being a parent are all very similar.
Yeah.
In how you lead.
Yeah.
Right. So always lead by example.
Yeah.
And you have to know how to use leverage.
Use leverage, and then also what drives. Once you understand one person, what drives over the other.
And you know what's been crazy in my career, and I have literally, I've left jobs, and inevitably there's we were going to go out for beers or whatever because we're sorry to see you go. I've had more than one man cry at my going away beer party, right? Because I was the first one to invest
Time
in a man.
care what he thought.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like, so I had a guy that he wanted to be a professional bowler. He was an awesome operator. He was incredible,
Yeah.
right? But I don't care. Like, I want to know what you love, and I'm going to love that. That's how I raised my boys. I was like, you want to play piano?
I'm gonna become
Liberace. Yes, like whatever, right? Unfortunately, my wife's super athletic. I'm athletic. Our boys were athletes, right? So, but anyway, so this guy, he's phenomenal. I don't want to lose him. And so my dumbass, we're in our Monday morning staff meetings, and I'm like, what'd you score today? 225? What'd you average this week? So he's qualifying for the Professional Bowling Association, whatever. So in front of everybody, I'd be like, what'd you bowl this weekend? Like, how did you were in Indianapolis?
Well, you showed you cared about him,
How'd
too.
that go? Right? So he's like, oh, I bowled a 245. And I was like, that's not enough. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
That reminds me of I love leadership, management, like, a lot of things I learned. There's the traits of leadership in the Marine Corps that are ingrained in you.
Yeah.
Right. So it's JJ did tie buckle is the acronyms, and it stands for all the, judgment, initiative, decisiveness. So there's things you
Do you
learn.
watch Jocko?
Yeah, I do.
He's a cool dude.
Yeah. And love.
He's the acronym guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's tons of them
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
military.
yeah.
That's why my favorite acronym that we used to do is if you had something, you call it to go down to the admin and ask them to fill out your ID 10T form.
Okay.
And so most people immediately
I don't.
Well, so if you write on a piece of paper I, capital D, and then 10, and then T, it says idiot.
Oh, shit.
So
Okay. I like it.
Right. So the acronym stuff you can have some fun with, but we would get but I digress. Going back from that is after that in the car business, then I worked my way from salesman to finance manager to sales manager, general sales manager. So I was running sales department, and I had this boss who was an asshole. I mean, a raging asshole, but respect the hell out of him. And he actually gave his own time to teach me. He said, "Hey, if you are serious and you want to be an owner, nowadays in the car business, it's almost impossible to become a private owner like Mike Naughton. They're all getting bought out anyway. It's kind of like everything else right now. But back then, you could be a private owner. You could have this story of like working as a salesman. Nowadays, you can't. It's all corporate. And then they'll buy you out early anyway. Yeah. And but I had this boss, Don Moyers, who was also a Marine. And he would come in. He said, if you really want to understand, I'll show you how to read a piano. I'll show you how to run a dealership. You come here at 6 a.m. in the morning, and we'll go through this. And he did. And but what was cool is he was a big Bears fan, Chicago Bears. So like I had to sing the Bears fight song to get my bonus check one time because he was a total jerk like that. But and I can still sing it, which I won't do here. And but I remember we watched this video because everything he would relate to like football, four quarters in a in a year, Q1, Q2, and then we watched this video about Mike Ditka and leadership. Mike Ditka, he was going to say it like that, right? The Bears, and he talked about how he managed people and how people, and it was actually for like a business leaders summit that he was doing back in the early '90s, and he was like, I don't. You can't. People say you treat everyone the same. Bullshit. You can't because people aren't the same. So you have to know what makes people click.
Results, you can treat people the same.
If you don't care about results, but if you got to know, like, so to your point, when you were saying that, what Mike Ditka said is he goes, I learned pretty early that. So Mike Singletary was telling this story about Mike Ditka. And how he was so hard on him. Mike Singletary, right? Remember that greatest middle linebacker with those eyes, staring in the backfield? And he's telling this story about how they get on the bus after this game. And Mike Ditka comes down. He had like think he had like a half a sack, couple tackles, and like a fumble recovery. And like Mike Dickey gets down and leans in his ear and he says, if you think those stats are enough to get in the Hall of Fame, you're full of shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, at the same time, I'm watching Jim McMahon walk on the bus with a beer and barefoot. He doesn't say shit to him, right? Why is that?
Right.
Because he knew my own personal drive was to be the greatest middle linebacker in the history of the NFL.
That's right.
Jim McMahon didn't give a shit about that. He wanted Jim McMahon wanted to be the best, and that's
He's a PR guy.
He was but you know what motivated Jim McMahon was different than him.
Yeah,
Jim McMahon loved to like win.
Yeah,
and
he loved the sound of clapping.
The clapping and the win. He loved to win.
He loved that sound.
He loved to win. That was it. He didn't care about his own personal stats.
No.
Mike Singletary wanted to be the best ever.
Yeah.
Jim McMahon just wanted to win.
Yeah.
And so that's when I learned it, as a manager, and I've talked to, Diamond, who's here at Rep Masters, and I've said the hardest part of management is managing people.
Oh, for sure.
Understanding what drives them, what motivates them, what makes them tick, because that's really the only thing that the only reason they're going to get up and do what they, what they do is because it's their passion. Drives them.
Yeah. And so my career has been punctuated by, so in my coaching career, I still keep every letter.
Oh, that's awesome.
From all the college players that have written me notes, just saying, you believed in me, you were hard on me, you showed me, not told me, but showed me what it took.
Yeah.
And from like kids without a dad, kids with a strong dad, like doesn't matter. But as a coach, you're filling a role, right? And so my goal with my boys, very successful. My goal with my boys that I coach is you have to be uncomfortable in a safe place.
Yes.
So it's true for my engineers. It's true for my players. It's true for my own boys. Like if you, it's
the only way you grow.
Yes, but it has to be safe.
Right.
Like somebody's got to I'll let you go till you almost die. But I'm here. Right? But you have to get into that uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable is different than unsafe.
Yes.
You're going to be
for
uncomfortable.
Sure. That's right. So when we say figure it out, you can be an asshole and say figure it out. Or you can say, you know what, I'm here, but you have to struggle through this.
Yeah.
Right? And I love you, and I'm here for you, but you have to struggle through this.
Yeah.
So I get letters, I get feedback, but if I could coach any leader up that's listening, my secret sauce is immediate feedback. Because how many times do you see something that you like and you don't go, I blow my whistle.
Yeah.
I blow my whistle and I go, time out. Everybody freeze. Did you see what that guy just did?
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yep.
It was amazing. Did you see what that guy just did?
No.
Right? So what happens? Everyone goes, ooh, I want to be like that guy. The guy that did it is like, ooh, that was pretty sweet.
That just made me,
right? So coaching, parenting, managing teams in the water utility.
Same thing, man.
Blow your fucking whistle.
Yeah.
And you go, time out. Did you see what that guy just did? It was fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Right? Also, if I see something I don't like, I blow the fucking whistle, and I go, time out, and I go, everybody freeze, and I go, that was the wrong thing to do. Now, everybody knows if we do something good, I'm going to call that out. We don't do what's expected of us, I'm going to call that out too.
You only get credence for that if you call it out when it's good.
Yes.
So if you don't call it out when it's good, you don't get credence when you call it out when it's wrong.
No.
Yeah, because they know that you're there just to improve.
But I'm an immediate feedback guy.
Yeah.
So as soon as I see something I like, I praise it. As soon as I see something I don't like, I fix it.
Call it out.
In love. Right? And it works in work. It works when you're coaching the football team. It works in family. I'm an immediate feedback guy.
That's really, I mean, that's what, I mean, that's kind of how I think that you and I have a lot of the similar style of like how we learn.
Yeah.
Like listen to stories too with like, learning from a kinetic standpoint. I got to see it. I got to be in front of it, like with a control valve. And then being passionate is, if you don't love what you do, then why the hell are you doing it?
Right.
Or if it's not fun to you, I love the concept. I wish more engineer firms would do that as far as getting people into the field. There's a district out in Utah where you tell you that they had some engineers that retired. They're looking at consulting engineers, and they decided to go in-house. And when they did it, they wouldn't even let that engineer sit in the office unless he had been 3 months in the field with the field guys, with the operators. Think about the difference. I mean, there was I remember, and I wish I remember his name. And down at Colorado Springs Utility, there was a guy who was so hilarious, man. And the guy was like their lead. Like everyone looked up to this guy. He was like their repair tech, like did all the repairs, all that stuff. And he went out. I remember he told me the story. He went out into this. He goes over to this vault, takes a picture of it, all the stuff there, and he shows it to the engineer. And the engineer's like, What's that? He's like, well, you should know. You designed it. Didn't even understand the concept of seeing it visually to what was there. That's crazy. He's never been out there. And that's a gap that has to be filled. And I know that's, I think, what the firm who shall not be named is doing when hiring you, is bringing that in, because that's a big void.
Yeah.
Just, for them, if I'm a utility, do you guys do consulting engineer with the smaller utilities?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that's kind of where I don't knock the consulting engineers at all, because I'm telling them this is their job.
Yeah.
But when I ask them, is you should at least hire somebody in your, even if it's a younger person who's the liaison who represents you, because what works in your small district may not work there, so that you can work with that engineer firm and say, look, okay, we're not going to take a copy and paste design from all these utilities. Like, these are the challenges we have here. Like, they don't even have to be an engineer, but they can effectively communicate with that consulting engineer and say, I'm not just going to take a copy and paste book. But that's the type of stuff that has to change.
Yeah, and I think the other little niche that I kind of feel like hydrolysis filled and I fill is the other part that I think gets overlooked is we don't have operators that are business savvy, and we don't have engineers that are business savvy, right? So that's another big hole for those of you listening, that if you're thinking about, well, AI is going to take my job, AI is going to design a treatment plant, whatever.
No way.
No way. So if you're an paralegal, you're screwed.
Yeah, right. If you're doing a job that's
and if you're
mundane,
if you're a paralegal, you're screwed today.
Yep.
If you're a truck driver, you're screwed in 10 years. I am not worried about the water industry.
No.
I'm not worried about it at all, because who is looking at the AI conceptual design, 30% design of a water treatment plant?
Have you ever tried to mess with it and put that in there? It comes up with gibberish.
Well, no, and I'm talking. They're saying that they could actually come up with construction drawings, 30% design, and so who's going to review those?
Right. Who's going to review it? Who's going to look at the
build it?
Yeah. Who's going to
can't build it, right? And so somebody's going to have to interpret. So,
I mean, we're using a lot of AI right now, and I look at it as
well. Did you hear my
tool.
asset management?
Yes.
Talk,
Yeah.
Right. So
Loved
like,
it. Yeah.
we're confusing AI and machine learning.
Correct.
Right. And so I can show a computer what class 5 manhole looks like. Deterioration 4, 3, 2, 1. Right. I can show it how many cracks. What's a 1 millimeter crack look like? What's all this? AI can do all that, and I love it. That's actually machine learning.
Somewhat. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It's machine learning.
Yeah.
But AI can save me a ton of time.
Correct.
So
that's where it is.
But I have to train it.
It's like it's an assistant.
Train it, right? So anyway, we get to this AI junction, and I tell people, like, there is zero business sense in the government. There's zero business sense in engineering firms. There's zero business sense in operations because how we've always operated, the governments operate as not-for-profits, which is incorrect, right? Engineering firms, they're not business savvy. They're not, right? They have margin goals, but they don't understand indirect costs, for example. So if you can close the gap between how do we be business savvy and technical, right? Like nobody understands dollars. Like Rep Masters does.
We do.
Right? Like,
Well,
like
it's looking to win. And I think you probably, I don't know if you'd seen, and Brent was there, in Brent's podcast, and this has always stuck with me.
Yeah.
Is an interview with Pat Bolin.
Yes.
And when they asked him, this is where I tell my children, you have to love what you do, and you have to have passion. If you don't do it. Please don't. Like, you can do it in 16 and have a job, make some money.
Yeah.
But when you're up, like if you're going to dedicate time, because there's only two places you're going to be for 90% of your life.
Right.
It's your family and where you work.
That's right.
And if you're going to have that much time, like I'm passionate about my family. So if I'm going to spend the other half of the time at the other place, I better be passionate about it.
That's right.
And one thing it'll always stick with me is they were interviewing Pat Bolin. Mm-hmm. This is back in the early 2000s, what they were saying, how the Broncos were the most successful organization from 1978 to present day at the time.
Okay.
And he said, how did you do it? Mm-hmm. And he said, I stopped treating it like a business.
Yes.
And I just figured we would win. And if we won, everything would take care of itself. So he became passionate about winning.
Yes.
And what does winning really mean, right? It's not winning at all costs.
Well,
it's
not
developing.
the literal...
It's the culture. It's developing the culture. Like everyone knew in the 90s. If you asked the class act organization at the time in the 90s was the Broncos.
Yeah. So they did surveys of contracts, and professional athletes, they put the no trade clause into their contracts, starting with like Deion Sanders and all these big name guys, right?
Yeah.
So there was actually a study, and I think it might have even been a Rick Lewis thing, going back to Lewis and Floorwax. But so somebody looked at all the contracts in that time frame.
Yeah.
And so players were able to put who they won't play for and who they're open to play for. So the Denver Broncos never, there's zero.
They were never on the won't play for list.
Yes,
yeah.
Zero. So they're doing something right. So we're season ticket holders, my family, since 1960.
Oh, nice.
So our rights number is 75.
Ooh.
So I could literally walk up and tap somebody on the shoulder and be like, you're in my seat when it's time for re-up or whatever, right? And so we're lifelong Denver Bronco fans, and my grandfather was the president of the quarterbacks club. And so I grew up pre-John Elway. So John Elway's rookie year, there's a picture of me and John Elway that he signed where he was just the horse-toothed kid, at training camp or whatever. So, I'm a huge Bronco fan, and I love what Pat Bolin did, right? But there's something to be said for we're going to set a high standard, and we're going to fund it.
Yeah, that's what the Waltons are doing now.
I agree.
And they even said they're not going to ask for funds from the public.
Well, and the shitty part about that is the Denver taxpayers, they signed a 50-year bond. So they're going to pay for debt for 50 years.
Oh, you shouldn't live in Denver.
On a stadium
not
that
downtown,
they're only going to live in for 20. Right? By the time 2030 comes around. But kudos to the Bolins. Kudos to Walmart money. You spend $30 billion on a franchise, build your stadium. I'm in. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so the last thing, since we're pretty close, well, we're gone beyond, which I knew we would.
Yeah.
Dude, you and I could have another episode.
For sure.
We should just, you're here local. We should do it too.
Just do
You should kind of be
V2.
like this.
Yeah,
we
should
should have like this rant where it's like,
Josh is going to stop by.
Josh's randos with. No, because I think, there's a lot more we could talk about.
Well, and I'm happy to share stories about, like, I've seen some shit.
Well,
right?
the one thing I did want to ask out of all, so just to close it up, I wanted to see out of all the, you've worked with Dominion,
Yeah.
right? Aurora, ECCV, Denver, North Glen, Thornton.
Yeah.
Miss anyone else?
Mm.
Okay. Craziest operator story out of all those. You got to pick one.
Shit. I have had an operator, and it's kind of interesting. Well, he was brilliant, school of mines guy,
Okay.
like master's chemistry.
An operator?
Yeah, he was an operator.
Wow.
Right.
School of Mines operator.
The dude was brilliant.
Yeah.
Right. And so he comes into work, and he comes into my office, and he's like, "Hey, boss, do you like boxing?" And I go, "Yeah, I like boxing." So I'm old. So he was like, "Okay." So he had it all set up. I didn't know he had it all set up. Like,
Okay.
he had a TV and a VCR on the
Okay.
cart.
Okay.
You know how you
Oh, yeah,
have
the
it on
old school, the cart, yeah.
So he had that outside my office.
So you're dating it there with the bungee thing that goes
That's
over.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right.
So he was like, "Do you like boxing?" I go, "Yeah, I like boxing." And so he's like, "Okay." And so he rolls the cart into my office,
Okay.
and he puts a VHS tape into the VCR, right? And the rabbit bunny, the grainy, like black, all the, I can't see what's going on. And so I'm staring at the TV, and it's a boxing match.
Okay.
And so I'm staring at this boxing match, and my brain isn't like telling me to shut up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at it, and I go, "I don't know, dude, but it looks like that black dude's kicking the shit out of that white dude." He was a white dude. Right? So I'm like, "Oh, God." He's like, "That's awesome, right?" And I was like, "You say so."
That's him.
You know what I mean? So it turns out this dude was like stalking one of our operators, bringing throwing knives into the treatment plant. So like he was like making makeshift like targets and shit. And so a lot of shady shit going on. So then this girl that he's like following home from work and whatever, he like stole her paycheck and got her address, and now he's like stalking her. And so now I got my eyeballs on him, right? And so, HR takes forever. Like the legal process takes forever.
Oh, yeah. For a city, you can't just fire somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like a private business.
But I'm trying to be protective of the staff.
Right.
So anyway, my boss comes up to me, and they're like, "Okay, like we're ready to like really move things forward." I was like, "God damn, it's been like 6 weeks." You know what I mean? Like, how's this guy still here? And so they're like, "Well, we were hosing out a said basin."
Okay.
So it was enclosed. So they're going through the Bilko hatch, and they're in the basin with fire hoses, like hosing all the sludge out annually. And so they're
If they find a body, and we were really
yeah. So while they're down in there, my boss is like, "Hey, we need to like document like what's going on." And so they're like, "When he comes back out of the hole, we want you to ask him if he has any weapons on him, because we think he has like some knives in his boots or throwing knives or whatever." And I'm like, just me? Like,
by myself and nobody else. No,
like, okay.
no security.
So I'm like 23, 24,
Right,
whatever,
yeah.
right? And I'm like, okay. And so he comes out of the hole, right? And I'm like, hey, XYZ. I was like, do you have any weapons on you? Like, you have any boot knives on you or whatever? And he's like, no. And I was like, well, all right, well, why don't you show me? So he like rolls up his pants like nothing. Right? I go, okay, well, whatever. So fast forward, we finally get him dead to rights. We get the approval to fire him. So they're like, all right, you're going to fire him. So my HR gal is like 5'2". She's like, I'm like, oh, I'm fucked. So I'm like, this guy's like mentally deranged, right?
Yeah.
So he's sitting where you are. I'm sitting here. My HR gal's sitting here. And I'm like, all right, well, we're going to terminate employment. He's like, okay. And I'm like, I think he's going to come over the table.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm like, okay, like, what am I going to do with this? Right? He's like, okay. So he walks out. Little did I know. So we had a sheriff outside the room and all that. So I get a call from my wife. And she's like, why is there a police car outside of our house? And I go, I don't know why there's a police car outside of our house. Let me make some calls. Like, not our jurisdiction.
Right.
Like, a different police car is in front of our house. And so I make some calls, and I was like, is there a reason why there's a police car? Oh, we forgot to tell you. The sheriff that was standing outside of the room, when he walked out, he said he was going to kill you and all of your family. Right. So they sent a cop to my house after I fired it, dude.
Oh my gosh.
Fucking crazy.
Well, look, man, this has been great.
For sure.
Yeah, we gotta. We'll have you out for a couple more, and
Love it.
Oh yeah, dude. No,
wanna just
we'll
shoot
have you
shit?
back on. No, you're gonna be
me
like a
back
regular. You're gonna be like on Rogan when they have that regular guest that comes on. We'll just schedule you for like once a quarter.
Fuck it. What's going on?
All right,
Love it, man.
Dude, I appreciate you and everything you guys do.
I appreciate you. Thank you again for your service.
No, it was my honor, my privilege.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.